Hi, I am Sascha, life and leadership coach, trainer, speaker, and the host of I Am Your Coach. If you have seen the last slides, they already start. As some of you might have known, I've announced that today I would have with me Marie-Christine Nibagwire, survivor of the genocide in Rwanda and founder of the organization Safe Refuge Rwanda. Unfortunately, for personal reasons, she could not be here in Brussels with us today. She will come at another time, but I have found a great replacement. So today I have with me Nathalie Moriau. Hello, welcome Nathalie.
Thank you for having me.
Nathalie is an HR expert with more than 15 years of experience in diverse HR roles. Amongst others, she worked for PwC, Huntsman and Ansel, where she was Compensation and Benefits Director for the EMEA and APAC region. She's also a member of the steering committee of the Belgian chapter of the Forum for Expatriate Management, an organization that conducts quarterly seminars on interesting HR mobility issues. 1 year ago, she started a new career as a freelancer and freelance matchmaker in HR. She's a mother of 1 kid and herself passionate about personal development.
Wow. Thank you, Sascha.
So you have a lot of interesting professional experience. We would like to dive into a little bit today, also to see what personal development means in the area of HR. But before we go there, I would like to ask you some personal questions so our viewers can get to know you a little bit better. We know each other from a couple of personal development seminars where we have met.
Yes.
And well, maybe you can tell a little bit about yourself and how personal development entered into your life.
Okay, I think you gave a very good overview of my professional career, and as you said, I'm a mother of 1 kid, which obviously was one of the first changes in my life. From a personal development point of view, I think I always acknowledge the importance of personal development, but more in a professional career sense. I was always open to good feedback, to learning, to develop myself on a professional level. And yeah, I would say about 2 years ago that shifted, and I also acknowledged the fact that as a person, really as an individual, there was a lot of room to improve as well. So yeah, who am I? I'm still discovering that, and I'm still on a path to explore and to continue to develop.
And what was the trigger for you to go into that personal development area from a private side, let's say? Well,
I would not unfortunately, but it was a breakdown. And I remember in the last interview as well, you were mentioning that you also need a breakdown to make a shift. And in my case, it was also a breakdown that triggered a breakthrough. I have to call it was a burnout, and I did really completely crash for a couple of months. I'd never accepted that until I was open to coaching and really to understand what was happening. And that also shifted me into getting better and really getting that breakthrough.
Yeah. Very interesting. I mean, it's very often like that we have to go until the bitter end before we realize that we have to change something about how we work and how we function.
Yes, that apparently that works in the best way, but unfortunately I would say also that you need that breakdown to get the breakthrough. It's often the trigger, but I feel that you don't need the breakdown to be open to coaching or to get value out of personal development and coaching. I think everyone or every human being has the potential to improve himself on different levels.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would say I'm disappointed in myself in a way, if I can say that I had to wait until the breakdown to realize that. I really believe in that every individual has the potential to become the best version of himself. And yeah, I hope that with coaching, with personal development, that we can bring something to the world, I would say, and to improve every individual and to allow them to live the life they want to live.
And if you look at Nathalie Moriau, let's say 5 years ago and today, how would you say, what is the difference? What have you taken out of that? There have been a lot of changes. On a personal level, if I think even what happened this week is I have a different conversation with my daughter, which is one of the best things that also could happen to me is to improve the relationship with her. And obviously she's only 11, so I have a different conversation with her now than 5 years ago. But also the way I want to and the way I choose to listen to her is completely different. And can you explain that a little bit, how it has changed? Before, I think I was working a lot on my laptop, and she would come to me and, Mom, this or that. Yeah, it's okay. Not really listening. And now I commit to really listening. So what I do is, give me just 5 seconds. I'm finishing something, and then I turn towards her, I face her, and I open up to listen. That makes a huge difference. And I'm not at my best yet, because this week we sat down at the table with the family, and I asked her, if you had one wish, if you could express one wish, what would that be? And I think unconsciously I had something like, she's going to ask for, I don't know, another pony or whatever. But she said, well, Mom, Dad, what I would want is that you let me speak, that you give me also the room or the space to speak. Sometimes you interrupt me, and then you make, you think I'm going to say something which I don't want to say, and that's my wish. And that really gave me shivers. And I'm continuously amazed by the capability that children have to see that. Yeah. Wow, very, very deep. Yes, it had an impact on me, and I committed. Although I expressed, you can express a wish, but we leave it there, and we'll see how it goes. But I mean that just came in, and I want to do that, and not only with her. It's also in conversations with you, with friends, family. How many times do people just, while you're speaking, they're looking at their cell phones or doing something else, looking at TV, or not really listening to what you're saying, and you don't get people when you're not really listening. And it's amazing what can open up if you really listen with eyes, ears, and the heart. Beautiful, thank you. What have you done for yourself in personal development, and what was your biggest takeaway, let's say, from those experiences? There have been a couple. In my professional career, I went through leadership courses, communication training, personal development, because I became a manager and so on. So what do you need? What competencies do you need as a manager? And those are good. They help me, and they help me to get a better understanding, become a better leader. But the real shift happened again when I went through, and you were there as well, through a real 4 days holiday for myself, I call that, where I took a deep dive into who am I, who do I choose to be, what do I want to become, and really think about that on a higher level. And through coaching and through coaching tools, become a better version of myself. And the biggest shift, and even as a leader, as a mother, as a friend, happened there. For me, really happened there. Yeah, and it shows up in your daily life now, as you said, as a mother, or as an employer, or as a boss, in all areas. As an employee, as an employer, as
what I do today as well, the matchmaking, I do it with my heart. My goal is really to match people with a project that they love. I always ask when I call a freelancer, I ask them, if you would have the choice, if you would choose, what would your preferred project be? And I'm amazed that some people say, I don't know. and I ask again, think about it. What if you? Everything is open. What would you dream about? And then of course I get some replies, and unfortunately I can't always help them because I'm also linked to what the customers need. But ideally, I would find their preferred gig, the gig that they love and that they can commit to, and yeah, be motivated with heart and mind and yeah, everything. Yeah.
Thank you. Looking on your professional side or professional career, you're saying now you're a freelancer and you're a matchmaker in HR. How have you experienced, or did you experience a difference in recruiting people with regards to, let's say, 10 years ago, when it comes to the importance of soft skills, empathy, coaching, or this kind of reflection that one has on him or herself?
Yeah, to be clear, I was not a recruiter in my previous career. Of course, I've recruited some people in my teams, and I think unconsciously, I always looked at what is your motivation. And obviously I was looking for some specific skills. In the job I do, there was a need for specific competencies as well. But unconsciously I always also looked for the drive, the willingness, and the motivation. Today, when I recruit, and I am in a recruitment role, is I base myself firstly also on evidence-based recruitment strategies. I look at, okay, I don't want to copy what the rest is doing. Where can I find some evidence on what is really working? So that's also a little bit...
Do you have an example what that could be, or how this...
Yes, and well, with Balance HR, that triggered that when I joined them, they also, well, Eduard was also really looks into evidence-based HR management, and I realized that also in the past, sometimes I was looking, okay, what are our competitors doing? How are they managing it? And maybe we should copy that without really knowing what works. And now you have academic research and meta-analysis, which is the basic research, or not the basic, but really the research that is sustainable and that proves what works. And that's something I use now. And for recruitment, that is also really looking at conscientiousness, which to me is also an important skill as a human being. What does that mean? Conscientiousness is the willingness to do good, the willingness to, again, and that's my translation, to be the best version of yourself in whatever you do. If you commit, you want to do your best.
And is it something you rather see also on a senior management level, or do you say this goes all along the ranks and this is something that is required actually for everyone that wants to get a job?
Yes, definitely. Yes, whatever you do, do it with your heart, do it with commitment, because you love to do it. If you don't love what you do, think again. What is it that you love to do? Love yourself, your life, and everything you do.
Yeah. If you had, for example, if you would have something to tell to people that are unemployed now, that are looking for jobs now, and so they will have to go in a recruitment process at some time, what would you recommend to them?
I would first recommend them to take a step back and really think about what they want to do in life, what they want to do with their lives. That's one thing.
What is important to them? What
is important?
Yes. What are their values?
What are their values? What is important? What do they want to get up for in the morning? How do they want to be remembered by their children? I mean, those are I think the questions that can help and trigger the way you think. And then make a decision about that. It's a process. I know it's not that easy, but you can do it.
And it changes over life as well, I suppose.
Make a choice, make a commitment, and go for it. And I am convinced that if you have the willingness and the commitment, everyone can become what they want to become. I'm really, really convinced of that.
Yeah. So you're saying actually the biggest asset that you can bring into an interview is actually your passion and your love for what you're going to do, right?
Absolutely, yes. Even this week, and yeah, the lady might not appreciate my comment at this stage, but I hope at a certain time she will thank me for it. She was really motivated, a good candidate, good professional, no, not professional skills, good education skills, but I could feel that she wanted something else in her life, and she was limited by the location. And my feedback was to her, even if she might be disappointed, of course, is this was not what you wanted. Go for what you want, and that's my advice to all the viewers.
Okay, great, thank you. What other skills would you say, if you go more on specific skills, let's say that go beyond the vision of your own life, you see as very important or critical in order to work in, well, let's say in big companies where you, like you have been?
It starts with the leaders. Be the change you want to see in your company. That's my first advice. So if you want to set a culture, if you want to set a certain standard, it starts with the leaders. The main skills, there are a couple, of course, for really truly good leaders, but a couple that really make a difference in my point of view is, again, integrity, being your word in whatever you do. That sets a good example. Being your word is, I set a goal, I go for it, I stick to the goal, and I commit. When you make promises to people, you expect certain things. Again, commit to what you promise, because that's also what you expect from your employees. Communication skills as well. And I was talking about listening. To me, that's a top communication skill. It starts with listening.
Yeah, because I have the impression when we talk about communication skills, very often it's more about how to convince somebody about whatever, sales or something you want to do. Because this, for me, is the old paradigm where you go and you get a communication training and you learn, okay, how can I make sure I convince the other party to do what I want? And I have the impression that we have to, not only we have to, but there's also a process in place where we are shifting actually our communication to more active listening and also more empathy and more co-creation of solutions rather than implementing them. Is it something that you have experienced or that you see yourself with the companies you're working with? Yeah,
absolutely, and yeah, you're right on top of what I'm thinking is that. What if you could convince people just by being what you want to see? That should be enough. And trying to convince, and I'm using specifically that word, people to do what you want them to do, that will not work. Demonstrate what it can bring, demonstrate the value, demonstrate the outcome. And that will bring really shift people in not doing what you want, because I'm also convinced that everyone can bring something to the table. That's also, another skill from a leader is not to want people doing what they want them to do, but to give them the space, to give them direction, for sure. If you don't give direction, if you step on a bus and there's no place to go, you go nowhere. So a leader should give direction, but then trust that the people he's working with can reach that goal.
Yeah, and leadership, I'm not sure if you see it the same way. For me, leadership is not something that is necessarily related to a position in a company, because what I feel is when I talk to people now in startup communities and so on, it's like we need a different understanding of what employee or manager or director means. So we are all in a little bit the leaders of where we are working. So leadership is rather an attitude to certain things. So you're autonomous, you're responsible, you're taking charge of things, and you're not just waiting for somebody to tell you what to do and how to do it. It's like, because you were talking about leaders, and very often this get confused with, oh, he's my director, he's my leader, he's my manager. But I think it's something that all employees also, if I apply for a new job now, and I want to get somewhere, that I demonstrate that I have those capacities.
Absolutely. No, that's personal leadership. That's where that's where it all starts. Have a CEO conversation with yourself. What are my goals? Where do I want to go? What can I bring to the table? What do I commit to? What is the life I choose? What are the goals I choose? So that's, it starts with personal leadership. And of course, when you manage other people, it becomes even more important to demonstrate good leadership. But everyone can contribute to that demonstration, again, I'm repeating myself a little bit, but it's something that's been hanging around my mind since my last coaching session, is be the change you want to see in the world. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be the CEO of Virgin, I'm just saying, but you just can be a family father. What do you want? Who do you want to be? What example do you want to set for your children? And it doesn't have to. That's already big enough.
It's very interesting, because a lot of people think I'm not a leader, so this does not apply to me. I think we have to understand that the notion of leadership is completely changing. Who is a leader, but also what it means to be a leader. We were thinking about old men in suits that telling you what to do, and I think we have to get away from that and include everybody into it. And that leadership actually doesn't mean you necessarily go first and tell other people what to do, but that you actually hold yourself back and just make sure that the other people can do the best or work the best way possible together.
Absolutely, absolutely. A good leader does not tell other people what to do. Even to me, a good mom doesn't tell her child how to do or what to do. You give them direction. You give them a set of basic rules, of course, because, well, we live in a community. There are rules, there are laws, and we have to find a way to work with them. And that's the same in a parent-child relationship. I want to stop telling my daughter what to do and give her the space. And of course, some things I need to help her understand that some things might not be allowed, but then still, how can I be the mother I want to be and give her the space as big as I can to explore and to find her own way, not mine. And that's a hard one also for me. And that's, if I look at my personal development again and what you asked earlier, I think that's also a takeaway for me is I'm not expecting anything from her. I just want her to be the best version of herself, what that means to her, not to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. As always, I always ask my guests the last question, which is if there's one thing you would like to share with the audience, with the viewers, one insight that made the biggest difference in your life, or even if it was a seminar or a book or an event or something where you said, okay, man, this changed everything for me, what would that be?
Well, okay, I have to choose one thing.
Well, if you have more, you can also give us 2 or 3. We're always curious to learn more.
Yeah, and I'll make some publicity then, I guess, now. Yeah, definitely, to me, the Master 1 session from Creative Consciousness. That was a 4 days holiday I took for myself. First time in my life that I really chose for myself. So that's for me. Yeah.
Why was that the biggest thing for you?
That just changed everything for me.
How you looked at things.
How I looked at things. Since then, yeah, I gave up my job. I became an independent. I matchmake freelancer, and that's also because of, I think, who I knew I was, but who I did not appreciate enough, is really helping people, and that's also my mission in life, is helping people to become the best versions of themselves and to consciously create what they want in life.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you, Natalie, very much for your time and all your very interesting explanations on what you're doing now and how personal development and coaching has made an impact on your private life as a mother and as a person as such, and also for your work. If you would like to know more about Natalie and her work, I will post some things on the Facebook website, facebook.com/humanconnector, which is the Facebook site of I Am Your Coach. We will also show the email addresses and the websites of Natalie's company, HROnTop.net, and on Balance HR in the what is that called? In the lower part of the video. So you can always find all the information here. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, or have a look on my website, www.ikigai-coaching.eu, or, as I said, the Facebook site of I'm Your Coach. Thank you very much, and see you soon.